Good evening. We are calling to order. Good evening. This is called to order the regular meeting of the Bloomfield Hills School Board of Education. Today is Thursday, January 25th. The time is 6:31 p.m. Trustee Noble, will you take attendance?
All the trustees are here today.
All right, thank you. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Save that to the end. Thanks, Paul. All right. We're starting with special recognition. We're all done with items 1A through C, starting with, moving on to 2A, Celebrating Success, Michigan Assistant Principal of the Year recipient, and Dr. Dan Hartley will present.
Members of the board administration, thank you so much for having us. It's, maybe not the circumstances, but it's nice to have everybody here so that we can get some recognition for our two nominees or winners of these recognitions this evening. So the first person I get to talk about is the Associate Principal of the Year for the Michigan Association for Secondary School Principals, and I am honored to stand before you today to celebrate Jessica Lupone. Mrs. Lupone was named Michigan's AP of the Year. It was one of my favorite days of the school year because it was our homecoming pep assembly, and we were able to surprise her with her family there and have just, a big celebration with the students there to honor her family and friends as well. It just, a very special moment. But just to speak a little bit about the role, so the assistant principal is one of the most unique and important roles in education, working side by side with students, teachers, and administrators, and community. Assistant principals wear many hats and take on many responsibilities during the school year. Their effort and dedication to building excellence provide opportunities for student growth and school-wide achievement. So the MASSP recognizes one outstanding secondary school assistant principal each year for their work to progress student activity groups, school leaders, and their building culture. And the Assistant Principal of the Year is selected by the MASC-MAHS Student Board of Delegates and the MASSP Board of Directors. So congratulations, and come on up, Jessica, on this incredible achievement. All right. I am now honored to stand before you today to celebrate Miss Kari Griesbeck, who was named the 2023 recipient of the IBSOM Jean Ramseyer Award for Excellence in Approaches to Teaching and Learning by the IB Schools of Michigan. So the IB Schools of Michigan, that's IBSOM, the Jean Ramseyer Award for Excellence in Approaches to Teaching and Learning is designed to recognize outstanding leadership and commitment in support of the International Baccalaureate. So the recipients of this award, including Kari, demonstrate visionary and servant leadership aligned with the philosophy of IB, serve as an inspiration and role model for the learning and growth of colleagues, expand access and opportunity for children to IB programming within the state of Michigan, and advance the mission of IB. Kari was honored at the IB Schools of Michigan Fall Symposium, so please join me before the Board of Education this evening in congratulating Kari on this wonderful achievement.
right. And Keith is going to handle item 2C.
In honor of National School Board Recognition Month, Governor Whitmer has prepared a proclamation, and I'm going to read that this evening. Whereas Michigan is home to nearly 600 locally elected local school boards that work to enrich the lives of Michigan students through education and directly influencing instruction in Michigan's public schools. And whereas local school board members are exceptional public servants who have dedicated and committed themselves to this duty by governing school districts, listening to parent voices, and advancing student achievement and well-being in the schools and communities they serve. And whereas during this month, we join with the Michigan Association of School Boards, Michigan Department of Education, local school districts, and community organizations to recognize and raise awareness of the countless efforts and contributions of local school boards and school board members throughout Michigan. And now, therefore, I, Gretchen Whitmer, Governor of Michigan, do hereby proclaim January 2024 as School Board Recognition Month in Michigan. On behalf of Bloomfield Hills Schools, I just want to thank all of you personally for all of your dedication, your commitment, the hard work that you do to better this great district. Your leadership, your guidance, and your support do help shape our future of all of our students in a positive way. You have invested just countless hours on some complex issues. We've had some long meetings. We've worked with stakeholders. We've attended events. You've partnered with administration, and you've made a lot of tough decisions along the way. And as a gesture of our gratitude for your service, we're presenting you with a memento just to commemorate National School Board Appreciation Month. So thank you all for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Keith. All right, moving on to, that concludes Section 2. Moving on to 3A, Section 3, Administrative Appointments. A is the administrative appointment of Lora Boka, Director of Special Education.
All right, I'll start that one off before I turn that over to Mr. Bidlack. We did conduct a rigorous interview process, which included multiple rounds, and our interview teams included multiple parents, teachers, ancillary staff, building, and central office administration. Throughout the process, there was one candidate who rose above the rest. Today, we bring Lora Boka for your consideration as our next Director of Special Education. And before I turn that over to Mr. Bidlack to provide some more information about Mrs. Boka, I just would like to welcome not only Lora, but her family as well. I know a couple of her children have made their way in from Ann Arbor. I will allow her to introduce them because I know how proud of them she is, and that would, I'm sure, delight her this evening. I also want to thank and recognize that we have a couple directors of special ed from Livonia Schools as well as Northville Schools, and a whole bunch of her friends as well out here to support her. We see family, but we don't see all the other staff and friends and family coming. I think that really goes to show just what kind of respect people have who have had the opportunity to work with Lora, and we're so grateful that she's accepted this position. So I think, go ahead, Mr. Bidlack.
Yep, thank you. Good evening. It is absolutely my pleasure to introduce you to Lora Boka, our recommendation for hire to fill the position of Director of Special Education. Lora comes to us from Livonia Public Schools, where she has served for over 25 years in multiple capacity. Lora first started as a special education teacher specializing in emotional impairments, and then became a teacher consultant for her department prior to becoming the program specialist. After that, Lora served as the assistant principal and then quickly became an elementary principal, where she sat in that seat for 10 years. And most recently, she has been serving as a central office administrator as a coordinator of student services. Lora has a wealth of experience and knowledge, having spent time in each of these roles, ranging from teacher to consultant to building administration and also district administration. Lora holds a Bachelor of Science in Special Education from Central Michigan University, and she also has earned a master's and a specialist degree in educational administration from Wayne State. So I'll now pause here while we ask you for your consideration to approve Lora as our Director of Special Education.
Thank you for that. Is there a motion?
I move the Board of Education to appoint Lora Boka as the Director of Special Education from Bloomfield Hills Schools with an effective date of January 29, 2024.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? A motion passes, 7-0. Thank you.
Phew, I was hoping filling this house that that would work out this way. So thank you so much. President Hill and trustees, I thank you deeply for entrusting me with this position here in Bloomfield Hills Schools. To Mr. McDonald, to the interview committee members that I had the privilege of spending time with, I am so grateful for your vote of confidence in my abilities to be the director of special education. I want to express my deep gratitude to my colleagues. As you heard, they have helped prepare me for this position. We've walked alongside many journeys together, and we've grown together, but they have never stopped believing and encouraging me to be a better version of myself every day, and they are why I'm here today. As my retired Wayne State professor father, who's hopefully watching from Naples, Florida tonight, taught me at a really young age. His famous saying is, when you're through learning, you're through. And I clearly am not through learning just yet. I will continue to learn something new every day here and help grow our programs and services to be the best that they can be. To my friends, my beautiful family, my son Nicholas is here with his girlfriend Sarah, my husband Don, who is a high school teacher as well, our son Luke, who is not able to watch from Florida because he's playing a hockey game tonight, my beautiful daughter Allison and her boyfriend Tanner, and all of my CMU crew and my dear friends and colleagues from Livonia. Thank you for your unwavering support, encouragement, and interest in my career. Each of you inspires me to be the best that I can be. I can't wait to get started on Monday, ensuring that all students here in Bloomfield are given the opportunity to learn and grow and succeed at high levels. Thank you so very much.
Jump right in the center there, yeah. Perfect. And then if your family would like to. Sorry. We need a group photo for everyone also. If everyone would like to come up as your family, you are more than welcome. We love photos, so come on up. I'm going to be right next to you, sorry. Oh, no, that is absolutely no problem. Here we go. Okay, come on if people want more pictures. You want to come in and make your own picture? Get in here. I can take a big group picture if you'd like. I have no problem. I'll send it. Here we go. Thank you. All right, that concludes Section 3 of the agenda. Moving on to Section 4, public comment. To submit public comment during a meeting of the Bloomfield Hills School Board of Education, please complete a comment card and present it to the administrative professional recording minutes prior to the agenda item. I'm going to read something about public comment briefly. We read this at every public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for the public to address the Board of Education. It is not time for dialogue. In the interest of time, the Open Meetings Act provides the boards may place limits on the time allotment for an individual comment. In addition to making a public comment, you may also email the board at any time. Any comment that contains profanity, threats, defamatory remarks, or is directed at any person not employed by the district or member of the Board of Education in their official capacity and related to the role and responsibilities for which they are employed or serve, or is otherwise exempt from First Amendment protection, will be excluded from public comment. If you are speaking on behalf of a group or organization, please identify who you represent. Thank you for taking the time to address the BHS Board of Education. A couple of reminders. This board has made the decision, it's been a long-standing policy of the board, to limit public comment to 3 minutes. I have asked Trustee Falah to keep track of the time. And I want to make a comment about the time. In this past year, we've had a lot of public comment at our board meetings. And I, in the past year, was assigned the worst task of all, which is keeping time. And I just want to remind everyone here tonight that we have to adhere to the 3-minute time rule simply because that's what we've done in the past when others have wanted to present sensitive topics. They've wanted more time. And respect for the policies we've had in the past and the policies we want to have in the future, we want to be fair. So the goal is to keep it to 3 minutes. I'm sure Trustee Falah will be sensitive. The goal is not to cut you off at 3 minutes mid-sentence. But if you are reminded of the 3-minute rule, please wrap it up at that time and understand why we adhere to that rule, okay? All right, first public comment, Howard Barron.
Good evening, Board and Mr. Superintendent. My name is Howard Barron. I served on this illustrious board for 10 years. I listened very intently to the presentation that the superintendent gave 2 weeks ago on the phase 2 of the capital plan for the bond. I think it's a wonderful direction that you guys are going in, but there is one item I'd like to bring to your attention. The robotics center has bounced around this district for many, many years in different places around the district. As the sheet that I just passed out to you, over 3 years ago, our prior superintendent, Mr. Watson, presented a proposal to put the robotics center at the Dublin site across from the high school. I'd like to go through some of the advantages of putting it there as opposed to on the west side of the district in the Blooming West Center. Number one, it's obviously directly across from the high school, which makes it very, very convenient for the high school students, which is the primary user, not the only, but the primary user of it, to get to it. It's centrally located. It's right in the center of the district, east and west. It's a clean sheet of paper. That current building is like a house, or a converted house, about 3,000 square feet. Not only is that really not designed for education, but also there's a huge amount of parking around it that kind of goes to waste right now. If you followed the governor's State of the State yesterday, she talked about universal pre-K. The Blooming West site, you're currently talking about both pre-K and the robotics center. Well, if we go to universal pre-K over this year or the next year or so, not only for 4-year-olds, but for 3-year-olds, you're going to need a whole bunch of capacity for preschool. If you lock in the robotics center in your preschool building, that doesn't make a lot of sense, where you want to be able to expand in the future as the enrollment goes up. We're going to be expecting a lot of interest in our preschools because we have one of the highest quality preschool programs in the area. So we definitely want to have that preschool there. Also, not only is the preschool the greatest enabler for K-12 achievement and accomplishment, but also financially, it's going to bring more foundation allowance into the district. So it's good both from the academic side and from the financial side. So I'd really recommend you reconsider putting the robotics center at the west and put it at the, or consider examining looking at the the Dublin building, which, as I said, is currently underutilized. It's only used right now, I think, for a BYA. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. Next up, Jennifer, I apologize, I'm not going to pronounce this, Vucetic.
Whenever I hear Jennifer, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, it's always me. It's Vucetic. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Education, members of administration, parents, students, community members, and those watching at home. My name is Jennifer Vucetic, and I'm a paraprofessional at BHS, as well as co-president of the Bloomfield Hills Office Personnel and Paraeducator Association. I'm here tonight to represent 131 of Bloomfield Hills school workers who work and care for our special education students, help instruct students in our classrooms, monitor student safety in our hallways, and keep students happy and accounted for at lunch and recess. These are the paraprofessionals that provide educational support services to our students every day. This evening, you are going to hear from a dozen paraprofessionals from across our great district who perform a wide variety of job duties. I strongly encourage you to listen to their stories about their daily experiences with students. They will be eye-opening and hopefully provide a glimpse of the demand of the difficulty but important work. I'm going to start sharing my story. I've been working in Bloomfield Hills School District since 2013. I was hired in at Eastover Elementary as an ARP para. I was lucky enough to be welcomed in by a wonderful school and a wonderful team. Shortly after I began, I was chosen to become a one-on-one paraprofessional for a little girl who had a strong desire to learn, but many physical limitations. For the next 9.5 years throughout her elementary, middle school, and high school career, I worked with this student as her arms, her legs, and sometimes her voice. I provided physical and emotional support, foresaw obstacles and challenges. When she was no longer able to attend in person, I provided homebound services. Her family often referred to me as her school mom. Her mom and I have a bonded friendship that will last forever. Sadly, sweet Maya passed away the day after our last meeting on February 25th, 2022. I miss her dearly. I then was transferred over to a level 4 classroom. This position is hard to define, especially to people that are not in education. When asked what I do for a living, I simply say, I help students with special needs have a successful school day. Excuse me. People in the business know I wipe noses and I wipe bottoms. I facilitate conversations between students and their peers. I open milk cartons for kids that are in high school. I lay on the office floor consoling students that cannot make decisions for themselves. I take students to the farm. I help them collect eggs and clean the chicken coops. I help students brush their teeth. I have run 3/4 of a mile down the side of the highway after a student has eloped from a field trip.
Ms. Vucetic, just 3 minutes.
I do all of this and so much more. I'm meant to do this. I love this job. It is unfortunate that helping students with special needs have a successful school day comes along with a poverty-level wage. I make $20,000 a year. Therefore, I have 2 full-time jobs. For the past 2 years, I have been the president of our union. On a regular basis, I meet and talk with paraprofessionals throughout this district. I'm not sure anyone else that works in BHS can say that. There is no one else that oversees and cares for our group. I can say that I have learned that they are hardworking, dedicated, and well-educated men and women who care deeply for the children of this district. Please take this hour to listen carefully to what they have to say and show them the respect and dignity that they show your students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for the comments. Up next is Ms. Darcy Sky.
Hi, my name is Darcy Sky. I have 2 children that go to school in the district. I hold a master's degree in education and a secondary teaching certification in biology. I work as an elementary instructional paraprofessional. I'd like to give you just a tiny slice of what my job is like. The other day, I was approached by a child study team to work with a child who was having math anxiety flare during tests. So I worked with her one-on-one with some educational tools that I created on the spot to see what was going on, where was this anxiety flaring. And I found something really important. It wasn't actually the test taking that was the issue. It was a gap in her learning of the steps of long division. They're really complicated, and it was really hard for her to understand them. And in that, her anxiety was flaring, and it seemed like it was about the test, but it was this other gap. I worked with her teacher, we worked together on it. The next time she took the test, she aced it. It was a great day and a great story. One other little piece, at recess the other day, I'm with 5th graders. We're in the snow and the muck and the mud, right? And 2 of them start to have a really heated conversation that turns into an argument with screaming and crying. I come over to see how I can help. Right there, again, in the snow and the muck and the mud, we're in a conflict resolution, restorative practice process. I'm coaching 1. How can you speak so that you can be understood by your friend? She calms down so she can speak. The other hears her speak, and I coach her on how to do an apology that is really heartfelt and understood. The other student hears it, and then we get to the root of the issue. How has our friendship changed? What's happened? We're at the core, right? They ended that meeting laughing, hugging, and smiling. I have an amazing job. You'll hear from all of us. We love the work that we do. We're so proud of it, and we feel supported by our building. We feel supported in our school, the colleagues, our staff, the students, the families. We truly love helping our most vulnerable children in their most tender moments. And in that support, there's one place, and you'll hear from us, that it just doesn't feel quite congruent. The pay, where I take $1,700 home each month, and my total salary is in the low 20s, just doesn't feel quite congruent with the job we do and the fact that other districts in the county, comparable districts, Troy, Birmingham, Farmington, Northville, Oak Park, they do pay their paraprofessionals significantly higher than they're paid in Bloomfield Hills. So we're here today to ask if you'd speak with the administration about working with us on our pay. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Donna Polask. Sorry, I'm really getting challenged here with the names. Yeah, okay, I did say that correctly. All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Donna Polask. I'm reading this on behalf of a para that cannot be here due to a second job. Her name is Daphne Door. As a full-time para in the Media Center in North Hills, I take great pride in the integral role I play in our school community. I am deeply involved in various aspects of the school, from managing the library and handling students' tech issues to running yoga clubs, co-managing the art club, and other North Hills yearbook. In my position, I have developed a deep connection with the students, knowing nearly every student's name in the entire school. This kinship with the students not only creates a more personalized and welcoming an environment, but also allows me to contribute significantly to the smooth operation of the library. As Mrs. Riley, the middle school media specialist, is only in the building 2 or 3 days a week. I am responsible for running the library, which includes checking out books, hosting classes in the media center, providing assistance to teachers, and running rec time in the media center. Another one of my primary responsibilities revolves around addressing and resolving various tech issues that students encounter. Several members of the tech department have expressed their gratitude for my role by freeing them of students' tech problems. It saves them considerable time, allowing them to address the multitude of tech problems in the district arises on a daily basis in the new building. One of the aspects I observed during my time in the media center is in the incredible dedications of paras throughout the school. For instance, during the recent book fair, I witnessed 2 paras going above and beyond for their students by personally covering the cost of the books these level 3 and 4 students wanted when the students didn't have any money. These acts of kindness and generosity are a testament to the invaluable roles paras play in our school community. I witnessed paras skipping their lunches to stay with their students in order to assist them. They choose to help these students who rely on their close connections instead of taking their unpaid lunch allotted to them. The media center in the school and I am constantly witnessing paras going above and beyond their job description solely because they care immensely for their students. As a parent of the Bloomfield kids, my experience working in schools has shed light on the vital role of paras in our community. It is disheartening to learn that the compensation the paras in our district is among the lowest in Oakland County, despite the exceptional quality of our schools. Having started working in Bloomfield 2.5 years ago, I find it alarming that my starting wage was on par with that of my Bloomfield Hills High School son after-school job.
It's 3 minutes, Ms. Pilasek.
Despite the 2 degrees, my U of M and ample work experience. I currently make over $20,000 a year. Thank you very much. In regards, Daphne Door, North Hills Middle School para.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, 80 Sigelman.
Close.
Oh,
It's
so-
Saligman Catz.
Oh, okay, sorry, it's hard to read.
Okay. Good evening, Board of Education, Administration, parents, community members, and students, and those watching from wherever you are. I am 80 Saligman Catz, and I actually have my master's in social work with mental health degree. I choose to be a para. For 18 years, I have been a para in the Jewish community in the Opening Doors program. After those years during COVID, I actually switched positions and came to Conant as a para in the resource room. For a while, I watched a wall that had the level 4 programming coming to Bloomfield Hills Schools. At that time, I decided to move on, and I asked Annie Genie at that time, because I knew him because both my boys have been in the district. They are graduates from Bloomfield Hills, and I wanted to transfer into something that I knew was more my expertise as working with special ed in the educational system. So I'm going to go back a minute, sorry. So since coming back, I've moved around. Conant, I was hired as the resource para, which I just said. The following year, West Hills was the new level 4 program. I learned a lot from the teacher, Danielle Eller, as well as the other 3 paras in the classroom. As we know, West Hills closed, and paras will shuffle around without really being asked. I moved to Bloomfield Hills High School, and I'm in the level 4 program there. My own children, who are now 23 and 20, have been through the Bloomfield Hills system. They started at Fox Hills at 3 years old. They are both IEPs, and they still have them while they are at MSU. It's just, for me being a para, it's like me giving back to all the students in Bloomfield Hills what the teachers and paras gave to my own children. Without all the education they got from Bloomfield Hills, I don't think they would be where they are today. But they have one walking across the stage at the Breslin this year, and I have one will graduate next year as well. Over the last couple of years, I've had offers from other districts. I won't lie about it. I went out to look at West Bloomfield and Birmingham schools. They actually were going to give me a rate of an 18-year para in their district, whereas now I'm at the stage 3 or 4 on our pay rate of $18.95 an hour. It's frustrating because I know people in the district, children, young students who watch our kids, the level 4 kids, on the outside of school make more money an hour than I do being in their classroom, working with them one-on-one, doing everything we can so they'll stay in the classroom, they're not running outside, not running down Lone Pine Road, but to keep them where they need to be and educate them as well as we can. I am asking you to all consider coming into the roles of the paras one day, not for 5 minutes, but spend the day in any of the classrooms at any level and see what your paraeducators are doing for your students and your buildings. Please consider giving us immediate raises to all paras. Make us feel like you care about us, that you want us in your district to keep your students thriving. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Jill Formanek. Jill Formanek. Sure. Next after this will be Kim Kovic.
Good evening. My name is Jill Formanek. I just celebrated my 7th year working as a paraprofessional in Bloomfield Hills School District. My family and I live in the community, and our 4 daughters successfully went through and graduated from Bloomfield Hills Schools. I am a former early elementary school teacher, having taught for 10 years in Novi. I also have my master's degree in reading instruction. In my 7 years working in Bloomfield Hills Schools, I have worked as the para alongside the reading teacher, 2 kindergarten teachers, and I now work with the developmental kindergarten teacher. Paras have many roles throughout the school day. My day begins by greeting the kids as they enter the school from the bus, and my day ends with walker duty. On many occasions, in order to keep the children safe, I have had to stop cars as they attempt to drive through the walker zone as the students exit to meet their parents. In order for the children to get the most out of their school day and for the teachers to teach and be as effective as possible, teachers and paras work together as a team. Paras help with academics, working one-on-one or with small groups of students to help with needed extra practice, review of previously taught skills, or reteaching as needed. We direct off-task behavior and encourage those who are exhibiting good behavior. Paraprofessionals deal with many issues throughout the school day. We help with boo-boos and Band-Aids, bathroom runs and accidents, give hugs and dry tears when moms are missed and when children are upset or anxious. We assist them in specials classes, those being gym, art, music, and STEAM. We have helped when a child becomes disruptive or destructive in class and unable to regulate their own behavior, helping bring them to a calmer state or taking them from the room to get a change of scene. We and the teachers help keep kids safe, quiet, and free from harm during emergency drills. My colleague and I watch over 85 kids during lunch and recess, occasionally having an extra adult available to help. We remind the students of safety rules, redirect them when needed, and timeouts are given for unsafe or unacceptable behavior. We paraprofessionals wear many hats and have many roles. We chose this job because we love children, and we take pride in being a small part of their academic, social, and emotional growth. For all these roles I perform, I make $18.65 an hour or $22,000 a year. Thank you.
I'll note that after Ms. Kovic, it will be Melody Molina.
Thank you. My name is Kim Kovic. I am the secretary at Lone Pine, and I've been with the district since 2005. I'm here today to read a letter on behalf of paraeducator Nancy Simone, and Nancy does live within the Bloomfield Hills School District. I'm employed as an instructional para at Way Elementary. All 3 of my children attended and graduated from Bloomfield Hills Schools. I have a Bachelor of Science from Oakland University. Unfortunately, I'm not present this evening because I'm working my second job. The second job is necessary for me because my day job working as a paraeducator in Bloomfield Hills does not pay me enough to support myself as a single mother. I also work another job in the summer, in addition to the second job, to partially cover the money lost when not working at Way. I truly live paycheck to paycheck. I've been a paraeducator for 18 years, and my net salary for 2023 is $16,308.23. The role of a paraeducator has significantly changed since I started in 2006. When I was hired, my job responsibilities were recess duty and supporting students in first grade with math and ELA. That role changed to supporting the daily activities and occasional instructional support for our kindergarten students, in addition to recess duty and helping with drop-off in the morning. My role changed again to become more of a permanent instructional focused position. I work specifically with students that are below grade level but do not have an IEP. I work hand in hand with their classroom teachers to determine which areas of study to focus on. Again, this is in addition to recess, drop-off, and now pickup duties. I'm also used as a certified substitute in the classroom when there aren't enough available. These roles are so important for those students who need the extra support. I've been able to contribute to the success of many students within our building, whether it be academically, socially, and/or emotionally. We often joke about how para-educators should wear roller skates because we are in and out of classrooms and we are being pulled in so many different directions in order to support the students and staff. I'm hopeful the board and administration realize how valuable the para-educator staff is, and thank you for your time this evening.
After Ms. Molina, it will be Mahin Ovis.
Hi, my name is Melody Molina. I've been with the district for 12 years, either as a custodian, a bus aide, and now as a health aide para. I start my day by getting the student's medicine at her locker, checking everything is there, also checking the clinic has been cleaned. I then go to kindergarten to keep an eye on a little boy as he picks on, such as pinching, pushing, etc., a couple of little girls in his room, sometimes having inappropriate behavior. An example, hand in his pants, he's pulled his pants down. At lunch, I sit with him. He eats mac and cheese every day. I try to get him to only put 3 on his spoon versus a lot and using his fingers. Now I try to keep his hand on his lap and just stick with the 3. Before that, I help another kindergartner who likes to cry, has no patience, etc. I then go to the clinic to prep meds, then take them to the lunchroom, which is where we give the meds to this little girl. The girl has a G-tube. Myself and another pair do this together. It requires a second person. I then take everything back to the clinic to clean. I then proceed back to the lunchroom, which is wild. The students don't listen very well. The 4th and 5th grade students need to sit down and just eat versus last year eating in their classrooms. Then after kindergarten lunch, I walk them to their room where they get ready for recess, no pants, boots, etc. I then have my lunch. After, I prep the medicine. For the midday dose, I walk them to her classroom where we administer the medicine. Then I return to the clinic to clean up. I then go to kindergarten specials with the same little boy, whether it's art, music, etc. I then go to the clinic to prep meds for the afternoon dose in her classroom. Again, returning to clinic to clean it up. Changing the subject, I was one of the employees that was so sick before winter break. I missed the last 3 days of school. Friday, they closed the school. Upon return in January, the clinic was not cleaned, not even the garbage was emptied. In the emails, nothing was said about the 272 students and 22 employees that were sick, wishing them well, etc., assuring that the school would be cleaned, nothing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. After our next speaker, it will be Regina Perry.
Good afternoon. First, thank you so much for allowing me to talk about my job and my request tonight. In short, my job as a hall monitor in Bloomfield Hills High School includes welcoming, monitoring, administrating, delivering, problem solving, caring, and safety, and more. Also, I work as Dean of Culture in my diverse school with many nationalities. Unfortunately, I am not a Dean of Culture there. The yearly salary of this job is more than 70,000. Now, let me explain about my daily job. First, welcoming. To create a positive atmosphere in school, every day I am waiting for students in front of the door, even in very cold weather. I greet all students with respect and make nice remarks. I am hall monitor. I monitor the school. I am the school's eyes and ears. I check everywhere to be sure all students are present in the class, and the school is quiet and ready for teaching and learning. Also, every day, I deliver the passes to the classes 3 times. I occasionally have to go out of school to deliver passes to model school, even in a snowing day. In addition, sometimes the main office or counseling office calls me to go to a class and bring the students. Problem solving is another part of my job. I am always present among students. To prevent bullying, I act as a mother, trainer, and judge. This part is too difficult because they always argue, and I should always be so patient. I am a caring person there. When students are out of class, I pay close attention to them. During class time, I walk everywhere to find the students who filled the classroom. If students and staff need help, I take care of them. I listen to students' problems. Maybe I can solve them. I am a supervisor there. During break and lunchtime, I need a lot of energy. Controlling lunch area without administrator is so difficult.
That's 3 minutes.
Control hundreds of students, their noise, laughing, joking, and playing, food, trash, chairs, table, and extra. It is too difficult. I have to be there an artist, a psychologist, and a social worker. More important is a student's attitude. Some kids don't have an appropriate manner, and some have difficulty communicating with others. I should sit with them and try to influence their mood. Also, I am a coordinator for the interaction of students, teachers, and others. I am there to help new students, new teachers, and people who need direction. More importantly, I am responsible for the physical and mental safety of this school. For example, all doors should be closed, check everywhere, nobody will be alone, sad, or sick, nobody can go out without permission, and more.
I have to stop you. If we let everybody go, you know what I mean? It's really hard to give every chance to speak. So if you have one more thing to say, maybe wrap it up. But I have to ask you to, be cognizant of the time.
Just a few minutes more. Just 2 sentences.
I understand.
Just 2 sentences, sorry. Tonight, the request for respected board members who have the opportunity to make a decision, is increasing our wages to execute justice. This is our right. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. After Ms. Perry, it is Ms. Janice Degan.
Dear Board, good evening. My name is Regina Perry, and I'm reading this speech on behalf of one of our paraprofessionals who could not be here tonight, but wanted to make sure you heard her voice. So far, you have heard from a few of my colleagues and what paras do for our district, our community, but most importantly, our kids. I would like you to please indulge me for a couple of minutes and let me transport you into a para's shoes. Imagine you have just transferred from Europe, Asia, or the Middle East. You have a new job offer, or you had to flee your country for other reasons. Your English is basic, your family has no knowledge of English, they have been uprooted from everything they hold dear. You have multiple children in different grades. Your youngest just started kindergarten. She's worried and scared. You are stressed and overwhelmed. Everything has been a blur since you landed a couple of days ago. Today is your first day at work and your kids start school. You get to the school with your family in tow, everyone is in a rush, and you're trying to keep calm. The front office gives you a warm, heartfelt welcome, then they realize that they need a translator. The ELL teacher is either unavailable or does not speak the language of your child. Not to worry, the secretary will call Super Para. In a flash, she is there, ready to serve and translate. She welcomes you and your family with a big smile and a contagious, happy demeanor. Your 5-year-old looks up at you and says, "Daddy, she talks funny, but I understand her, and she understands me." Super Para takes your little one's hand and guides you to the classroom to meet her teacher. Your child gets a hold of your hand too, but she doesn't let go of Super Para's hand. We finally get her settled, and Super Para reminds her that she will be back to check on her often. You run off to work, you know your child is safe, and it will all work out. An hour later, Super Para comes to check on the child, and the child is in tears. She needs to go to the bathroom, but she doesn't know how to ask. No worries, Super Para is here to the rescue. Super Para will be there when your child is hurt, hungry, or even scared. Whenever they have a question about anything, she is there. Super Para has bandages to help with boo-boos. She has a magic powers to help aches and pains disappear. She knows when your child is sad and needs some extra cuddles. Most of all, she knows how to keep your child happy and feel safe at school. Paraprofessionals are there for all the children in our schools. The most vulnerable children need us most. Not only kids with disabilities and other difficulties in learning, but also kids that are not able to express themselves due to a lack of language skills. We speak multiple languages. We have different backgrounds. We come from different upbringings and educational backgrounds. What we have in common is our kids. We are mothers and fathers, and we want what is best for our kids and the kids we teach. Our district prides itself on great education. We meet the students where they're at, mentally, educationally, socially, emotionally. We are here to help and support. Next time you drop by, please say hello to Super Para. She or he is absolutely fabulous. The Super Para takes home per year $12,000 after taxes and insurance. She lives in the district and her child attends neighborhood schools. She also must have another job to supplement her income. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. After Ms. Degan, it's going to be Katie Galen.
Good evening. My name is Janice Steve, and I would like to introduce myself to you and give a little bit of my background. I come from a family of teachers, and teaching is in my blood. I love it. I have a bachelor's degree in business, a master's in education, and I now work as a full-time instructional K-para professional in Bluefield at Conant. I also have a second job. I teach metalsmithing and jewelry design in Birmingham. My earning wage is under the poverty level. I am a registered voter. Alongside the teachers, I assist children in 2 separate classrooms. Sometimes I feel like I have to clone myself to get everything done. Some days it is daunting and difficult. Every day I offer additional instruction to 5-year-old students, while at the same time, I help the next child stay on task and focused of lessons being taught, all in a comfortable, safe environment. I am comforting your child during lockdown drills. I am calming their fears. I consistently pivot between being a caregiver to a diabetic child. Sometimes every 15 minutes I have to monitor her. And at the same time, I'm aiding in classroom instruction and mental well-being of an undiagnosed 5-year-old having a tantrum or throwing a chair across the room. Paraprofessionals are in continuous in PD training. At lunch with only one other para, we get lunches for almost 100 kindergartners. We are spread thin. We open milk cartons, get utensils, clean spills, bathroom, intercede the food fight. Then preparing for outside is much the same. Putting on boots, zipping coats, putting on gloves and hats, all while keeping the kids safe. Between negotiating a dispute to drying tears. We assist to the bathroom, we assist to putting on Band-Aids, and we monitor, and while I'm monitoring a diabetic child. All in a safe and a respectful environment. That was just the first half of the day, and I don't want to go on to the next half because we won't have enough time. So our paras are getting spread very thin, but we always give 110%. We love what we do. So please listen to my words. Help us prevent burnout. To aid in hiring, we need more attractive, fair, and equitable pay. Thank you.
Thank you. After Ms. Galen, it's going to be Therese Chioni.
Good evening, elected board members. My name is Katie Galen, and it is an honor to address you as a fellow community member who religiously follows each and every board meeting. I have been a resident of Bloomfield Hills for nearly 12 years and currently have 2 children attending school in the district. Although I'm a native Michigander, I attended college in Boston, Massachusetts, receiving a Bachelor of Arts in Child Development with a minor in education, and I remained there teaching for 10 years, teaching first grade. When I moved back home, I began substitute teaching in Bloomfield Hills once my youngest child was in kindergarten full-time. In 2022, I decided to apply to become a para-educator in special education. But I can only surmise that neither the board nor the administrators truly understand what paras do every day, which is why we're here tonight. The impact of a paraeducator on just one student is immeasurable. As a special education para, I have worked with one student for a year and a half who is on the autism spectrum. I adore this child. I actually switched my position to become a 3-4 para just to be with this child every single day, pretty much 95% of this child's day. At the start of me working with this child could not communicate, but now they can express themselves, participate in class with support, sing in music, and even advocate for themselves. The student did not even engage in parallel play, but now this student can interact with other children, seek out other children, hold hands with them, and throw a ball back and forth. This student did not have an academic plan, but now with my help, with my differentiating his work, they can do handwriting, math, and read. Paraeducators develop an emotional connection to kids across classes and grades. I am the face they see when they get off the bus in the morning and greet them with a smile. Paraeducators provide vital support for their academics. I offer individualized help and small group instruction by preparing materials and creating lesson plans. Paraeducators navigate social skills throughout the day. I am present at recess, encouraging children to make new friends, giving a hug when they fail, and celebrating their excitement when they cross the monkey bars. Paraeducators are there to give a safe space. I'm the one you see walking the halls because I'm giving a student a break when they have a frustrating moment in the classroom. Paraeducators are the eyes that see the individuals, while often the classroom teachers are the ones who see the group. Doing all of this plus more, I hardly make enough to support my family, or a family. I invite you, please, come, follow me. See what I do every single day. I would love to have you. And then you will see and perhaps understand the value of a paraeducator. If we want to be considered an elite school that values all employees and respects them, then please give us the opportunities that other districts give their paraeducators and the salary that they receive. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak.
Thank you. After Ms. Chioni, it will be Scott Warrow.
Good evening. My name is Therese Chiowini, and I am a resident of Bloomfield Hills, and I've also sent my kids to school here. I have worked as a paraeducator for over 10 years, and my take-home pay last year was about $14,000. I may not have a teaching degree. My degree is in business, but I am teaching all the time because there are teaching opportunities everywhere, not just in the classroom. I support and supplement academic instruction and the social and emotional learning of our students. Paras offer personalized support to every student so they have the opportunity to thrive academically and emotionally. I supplement instruction in all core subjects, either one-on-one or in small groups. I may be working with a first grader on letter sounds, move on to a group of fifth graders for math. Then I may handle behavior issue in the hallway, and I can provide on-the-spot support. The classroom teachers don't always have the luxury of interacting with those students because they have 25 other kids waiting in the classroom to learn. Paras are there for them. I also believe that paras are appreciated by the teachers. Teachers can then focus on providing instruction to the whole class while knowing there is another dedicated educator to provide targeted support to the students that need it the most. And you would not believe the amount of teaching that goes on at recess. This includes de-escalation strategies, conflict resolution, and restorative practice. This is in addition to providing a safe and inclusive atmosphere on the playground. I want to share a couple examples of how paras have an impact on our students. I once worked with a small group of second graders with math. One student came back to this table and said, "Mrs. C explained it in a different way. Now I get it." He was so proud of himself and so confident. Then this year, I received a note from a student. "Dear Miss C, Mrs. C is always there for me. Like when I was in third grade and I was out in the hall, you came to me, and that was when I knew I can go to Mrs. C for anything. Mrs. C is always outside so I can give her a hug or just say hi. Mrs. C is the #1 best teacher I have ever met." I know I make a difference. Paras make a difference. And when I looked at the district's mission statement, I was struck by a few key words and phrases: safe and supportive environment, equitable and inclusive. So I hope that after tonight, you will realize that paras not only contribute to the education and well-being of our students, we are also contributing to the district's mission and goals. Paras may contribute in a different way than a classroom teacher, but we still play a pivotal role in our students' education, hence the title Para-Educator. And to remind you that after 10 years, I do this for $14,000 a year. I know the district values our teachers, so now I hope the district will realize the value that paras provide. Thank you for the opportunity for me to share how I and my fellow paraeducators make a difference to our students, our staff, and community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Education. My name is Scott Worrell, and as you know, I am the Executive Director of the Paraprofessional Union, as well as 5 other union groups in this district. I also work with a number of other districts around Oakland County. I appreciate you listening to the stories of our paraprofessionals today. Tonight, I intended to speak about the wonderful work that our paraprofessionals do and provide for students, much of which you have heard so perfectly described today. However, in light of recent developments, I've elected to take a different course and tone. Yesterday, after numerous attempts in the last several months by leaders of this group to obtain a meeting with the members of the Board of Education in order to share their concerns privately and about their work environment, the president of our union was told that the board would not agree to meet and that negotiations should continue to go through the administration. I believe the board is aware that negotiations have stalled. We have not bargained in over 2 months, and the board's team has informed us that they won't be ready to address our proposal provided in November of 2023 until the spring of 2024. As clarified by the union president in a recent letter to the board, the purpose of requesting the meeting was not for negotiations, but to discuss para issues such as retention and morale, as nearly 50% of your paras have left BHS since 2021. I've been doing this work for 15 years. I've never witnessed such disregard this board has shown this particular group of employees, many who are also your constituents. Not only did most board members deliberately ignore multiple requests, but the basis upon which you have decided not to entertain their invitation is erroneous and belittling, and may force some of the paras to provide that information in a more public manner. Let me remind 6 of you, it was our union organization that you sought out the endorsement from when you first ran to office. All 6 of you won that current seat you now occupy in no small part due to the support and campaigning of many of the people in this room and union members. I bring this up because I want to recall a specific question we asked each one of you at your election interview. The question was this: as a school board member, who do you see as your stakeholders in BHS, and how do you plan to engage with each of these groups? Every one of you answered, because I took notes, that you saw all of your employee stakeholder groups and would be willing to engage, to meet with them to discuss issues relevant to their group. At that time, you made an individual promise, and now you have collectively betrayed that promise. I am aware that some of you and other board trustees before you have been willing to meet with leaders of other union groups. Your dismissal of 131 paras, the second largest group of employees in BHS who interact with your students on a daily basis, is disheartening. Over my time as a union leader, I have seen too many board trustees fail to be effective in their role because all the information they received about their employees was funneled through one person or one group. This is irresponsible and detrimental to successfully fulfilling your obligations as elected officials. And thus, I implore you to reconsider your refusal to meet privately with a small group of paraprofessionals. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next up. Next up, Paulina Hagopian and Mihaela Cobb.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Paulina Hagopian. I am a parent, a volunteer, and an employee in this district. Joining me this evening is Mihaela Cobb, parent and volunteer. We both serve on many boards and volunteer organizations. However, this evening we are here representing the PTO Council as current and past president. We are here to acknowledge and thank each of our trustees who currently sit on the board, and thank you for being the crucial bridge between our community and our school district. Your efforts are instrumental in helping fulfill the hopes and dreams we have for our children, and we thank you for your dedication to serving our district and volunteering your time to build an education system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's students.
We are deeply grateful for all your hard work supporting our children. With your guidance and leadership, we look forward to continued growth, strength, and unity in our schools. Please accept this token gift that we have here as a sign of our sincere appreciation, as we feel it represents the spirit of Bloomfield Hills Schools.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. That concludes public comment, section 4. Moving on to section 5, organization of the board. Section A of this, or subsection A rather, Board of Education Officers for 2024. This is strictly an informational piece of information that we're sharing. We voted on this previously. Yeah, we'll wait till the noise dies down. Thank you, Trustee VanGemert. That was a good idea. All right. Again, organization of the board, section A. This was something that at the December 21st, 2023 regular meeting, the Board of Education passed a motion to elect the following trustees to serve as officers for the 2024 calendar year. Meagan Hill serving as board president, Tareq Falah serving as vice president, Carolyn Noble serving as secretary, and Paul Kolin serving as treasurer. Moving on. Thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to get my Wi-Fi back connected here. Moving on to section B, Board of Education Committee Liaison and Representative Appointments for 2024. Before we talk about the motion, Rebecca did distribute the copy of the Board of Education Committee Liaison and Representative Appointments. I would like to draw particular attention to the top section of this document, which at the top reads Standing and Ad Hoc Committees. There are 6 committees listed out, and then on the other side, there are trustees appointed to these committees. Drawing attention to the first 3 committees, for those who followed our last study section on January 11th, we spoke about this new structure, which as a board at our workshop in December of 2023, we discussed extensively adopting this new committee structure. There are 3 committees. One committee is the Curriculum and Instruction Committee. One is the Finance and Operations Committee. One is the Strategic Planning Committee. Mr. McDonald, do you feel comfortable at this point in time just giving a brief overview of what those committees will do? It doesn't have, just briefly what these committees will touch upon.
Sure. In general, first off, we're excited about the opportunity to work with the board in these committees. As we meet, we'll be kind of synthesizing information to further understand different topics that we may be talking about, and then the subcommittees here will then be able to bring that information and those recommendations to the board. When we're in our subcommittees, we are not making decisions. We're not conducting any deliberation. There's no direction that is provided. These are subcommittees, and the actual board business would then be conducted in the committee of the whole or at the regular Board of Education meetings. We had decided and landed on 3 separate committees, one being the strategic planning. And that one, we talked about, this would be things like policy reviews, goal setting for the district, for the superintendent, bargaining updates, legislative updates, and safety and security across the district. In curriculum instruction, they would also be the MyKIP representation from the board. So we would talk about assessment and data analysis, programming reviews, curriculum and course changes, and of course, special education. And then in finance and operations, we would have bond oversight, sinking fund projects, budget review, talk about our capital and infrastructure, and our grant funding opportunities that we utilize.
Thank you. So with these three separate committees, and trustees had the opportunity to fill out a poll to figure out what their preference was on these committees. I contemplated two scenarios. One scenario was 2 trustees per committee, myself floating between the 3 of them. I thought about it more, and I think that the more trustees involved in these conversations, the better, especially given, everyone's schedules, and sometimes when these committees are meeting, there might be people that have to be missing for this or that reason. So the more robust with trustees, the better. So I adopted instead spreading the 6 trustees over the 3 committees. And so what I did was, 3 trustees are having to serve on 2 committees. 3 are only serving on 1. Those who are only serving on 1, I have appointed as the chair of that committee so that they can take on some more of the bulk of the work in terms of planning and logistics and preparing a report to read out to everyone at the study sessions. So that was the thought process behind it. On the Curriculum and Instruction Committee, we have Tareq Falah as the chair, as well as trustees Southward and VanGemert. On the Finance and Operations Committee, trustee Kolin is the chair, with trustee Kumar and trustee Southward serving as well. On the Strategic Planning Committee, trustee Noble is serving as the chair, with trustees Kumar and VanGemert serving as well. In the instance where there's going to be a meeting, if any trustees if 3 are not available to meet, it is my intention to fill in any of those committee meetings to be the 3rd one across the board for all of these. The Superintendent Search Committee remains myself as the chair, and this remains from the same as last fall with trustees Kumar and trustee Southward. On the Board Intern Program Committee, we have trustee Kolin serving as the chair, trustee Falah and trustee Noble. On the Community Partnership Committees, we have the co-chairs, trustees Falah and Kolin. In terms of the stakeholder organizations for liaison committees, each trustee had the opportunity to go through and sign up for which liaisons they'd like to be assigned to. There were a few missing, and I did some filling in then. So do you think I should read them out one by one? Okay. So parent-teacher organization, PTOC, our trustees Kolin and Kumar. The Bloomfield Hills High School PTO is trustee Kolin. North Hills Middle School PTO is trustee VanGemert. South Hills Middle School PTO is trustee Falah. Conant Elementary School PTO, trustee Falah. Eastover Elementary School PTO, trustee Southward. Lone Pine Elementary School PTO, trustee Falah. Way Elementary School PTO, myself. Bowers Academy PTO, trustee VanGemert. International Academy PTO, trustee Kumar. Wing Lake Development Center PTO, myself. Bloomin' Preschool PTO, Carolyn, trustee Noble. Bloomfield Schools Education Foundation. This is 3 representatives. In this case, it's trustee Kumar, myself, and trustee Falah. Bloomfield Hills Athletic Committee, trustee Kolin. Special Education Parent Advisory Committee is myself. Friends of the Nature Center, trustee Kumar. Friends of the Farm, trustee Southward. Preservation Bloomfield, 2 representatives are required here for the 501c3 bylaws. Those will be trustee VanGemert and myself. Bloomfield Youth Alliance, trustee Kolin. Bloomfield Township Meetings, trustee Noble. City of Bloomfield Meetings, trustee VanGemert. West Bloomfield Township Meetings, trustee Kumar. City of Troy Meetings, myself. Birmingham Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, trustee Noble. Bloomfield Birmingham Community Coalition, trustee Southward. Bloomfield Township Senior Center, trustee Noble. Bloomfield Township Public Library, trustee Noble. Oakland County School Boards Association. This is an OCSBA Government Relations Committee. One representative is required by the 501c4 bylaws. I will be the representative there. Oakland Schools ISD Budget Designate, Trustee Kumar. United Homeowners Association, Trustee Noble. Muslim Parent Organization, 1 to 2 liaisons, and they are Trustees Falah and Trustee Kumar. That's it. Are there any questions or any dialogue that we'd like to have about this? Any shifting that anyone would like to have?
I'm assuming we'll just coordinate in terms of timing for the meetings internally between our committees, as like the chairs will just
I would ask the
reach
chairs
out.
to lead that. Yep.
What?
Thank you, Chair.
Problem. I'll get your schedule.
All right, so is there a motion regarding 5B?
I move the Board of Education approve the appointment of trustees as liaisons and representatives to the identified stakeholder group through December 31st, 2024, as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it passes 7-0. Moving on to C, amendment to the calendar of the Board of Education meetings for 2023-2024. All right,
I move the Board of Education.
I was going to give a brief overview.
Okay.
This is as a reminder, we discussed this at our last study session as well. Another item, a topic of conversation that we discussed extensively at our board workshop this past December. So under this new meeting schedule, there will be no study session. There's a reminder that the study sessions will now be held on the same night as board meetings. We will start a little bit earlier. We'll be adjusting the timelines. So right now, there's no study session on February 8th. So the study sessions and the meetings, the study session will take place at 6 p.m., followed by our regular board meetings at 7:30 p.m. Both meetings are open to the public, will be live streamed, cablecast, and recorded. And this meeting schedule change will be posted to the Board of Education's webpage, and changes will be made to the district calendar to address this if this motion was to pass. With that note, is there a motion?
I move the Board of Education to amend the meeting schedule to hold study sessions or regular meetings on the same day through June 30th, 2024, as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just wanted to just add that we did carefully and thoughtfully have a conversation and dialogue about this move, so it wasn't something that we did hastily. We did have information shared about how this process will also improve the processes that we have in place. So hopefully our community will understand our shift to this one night a week.
Yes, I agree with that. We did discuss this extensively. We talked a lot about best practices of other districts throughout the entire state, and we considered this extensively. Any other commentary? No. Okay. We have not yet voted. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? No, the motion passes 7-0. Moving on to Section 5D, the Board of Education meeting dates for 2024-2025. There is a new meeting schedule being proposed starting in July of 2025, reflecting a shift of our meetings, now our study sessions and board meetings, to the same time frame I just listed, but they will shift to Mondays, with exceptions here and there for different scheduling needs. I think there might have been a couple exceptions to Mondays, but it's generally going to be a Monday format. Any discussion?
I move that the Board of Education adopt the meeting schedule beginning July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 as presented.
Second? Second. Any discussion?
I didn't look at the dates. Did that April date give me?
Well, that's for this year until, this is for the
Just checking.
schedule shift starting in July of 24.
The April date.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Any discussion?
One April date, did it get
The one April date got moved.
Hearing no discussion, prepared to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 7-0. Moving on to Section 6, Superintendent's Report. Mr. McDonald.
All right, I feel like I've got quite the quick introduction to the superintendency in the last few weeks. Michigan weather seems so much fun. I think we've had snow days, bad road days, ice days, cold days. I think we've seen them all in the last few weeks. Probably building a fan base with the students more so than the parents right now, but that's all right. I do want to thank everyone for their flexibility with this. I know these are tough when you're working families to have snow days, and we definitely consider that. They're difficult decisions, but we definitely want to make our decisions with our student safety in mind. We do coordinate efforts with other districts, so I meet with all the superintendents across Oakland and parts of Wayne County. We have meteorologists that come in and work with us and provide us as accurate of a forecast as they can. We know how that goes. I work with our police chief, who then contacts his patrol cars and are able to provide me some pretty up to the minute information regarding road conditions, or if there's certain areas that we're seeing a particular higher rate of accidents or issues. And then, of course, my maintenance staff, they do an amazing job getting all of our facilities ready to go. But we are also coordinating with them to make sure that we, with the timing of whatever storm we have, can ensure that our facilities are going to be ready to go should we stay open. I'm a parent of young kids too, so I know how impactful those decisions can be. We would always try to make the decisions as early as we can because I know what it's like to get the 4:30 a.m. text message or phone call. My kids closed this week at 4:30 in the morning on Tuesday. So I know that's a scramble in the morning. So we are going to always do our best to provide you with the information or with that decision the night before if possible. And we understand, though, in doing so, we may make a mistake because the weather just doesn't come as planned. But we feel like that's the right thing to do when possible. We may at sometimes have to wait to the next day and call it in the morning, but that's not our intended practice as we get through the rest of the winter. So good times with snow days. Everybody said those would be fun, but I think they were lying to me. We want to take this opportunity to congratulate Dr. Mary Hilberry, who will be retiring from Bloomfield Hills Schools, specifically from her principalship at Lone Pine. She'll be leaving us at the end of January, so we only have her with us for a few more days. She's been with us for 20 years, and we will definitely be missing her leadership, her friendship, as she transitions into the next chapter of her life. I know she's got some pretty exciting things moving forward in her retirement. We will definitely miss her positive spirit and energy and leadership that she's provided in the Lone Pine community for a number of years. So congratulations, Dr. Hilberry. So along those same lines, we will be moving Mr. Ort, who is currently an AP at BHS, and he'll be assuming the interim principal position for the remainder of the year at Lone Pine. He is a former elementary teacher. He has served as an interim elementary principal before in another district. He's also been a permanent middle school principal before, as well as an AP at both our high school and another high school previously. And then we would then need to backfill Mr. Ort. So filling in for Mr. Ort at the high school will be Mrs. LaLiberty. Mrs. LaLiberty is a current teacher at the high school, and she's demonstrated excellent leadership skills over the years. I'm very excited to see her have the opportunity to grow professionally while also serving our school community in a new capacity. And we welcome them both to those positions. We know that they will excel. It'll take a few minutes and a couple weeks as they drink through the fire hose. But we know that they both have the skill set to make a real positive impact in both of those school communities. So we want to welcome them both in their new positions as well. We have incoming kindergarten information night. That will be Tuesday, January 30th at 6 p.m., and that will be held at the high school. If your child is going to be 5 years old by September 1st, it's time to start preparing for kindergarten and/or developmental kindergarten. It's an excellent opportunity for the adults to learn about the kindergarten programs in Bloomfield Hills. This is an adult-oriented program. You get the opportunity to learn the difference between kindergarten, developmental kindergarten, and which option would be right for your child. The enrollment for kindergarten and developmental will begin on February 1st, so it's a good opportunity, timeliness of that as well. We will also have a future day for incoming kindergarten students to experience what school is going to be like for them next year. And if you want to kind of wrap your mind around this, they are the class of 2037 and 2038. That's, yes. I guess I have a 2036, and I still can't wrap my head around that. Incoming ninth grade orientation, parent orientation is coming up soon as well. That'll be Monday, February 26th. Wanted to mention it today because of our new schedule. The timing would be pretty quickly thereafter. This is an opportunity for parents and guardians of current 8th grade students to come over to the high school, meet with administrators, learn about the scheduling process and what the high school experience will be like for their students. Be on the lookout. There will be some more information that will be coming your way pretty soon.
And that was Monday, February 26th, correct?
That is correct. Monday, February 26th.
Thank you.
Black Hawk Fever is coming again. It's a celebration of our varsity sports, and it's a really, really fun, family-friendly event. It'll be February 9th at the high school. We have the girls varsity basketball team playing at 5:30, followed by the boys at 7. We encourage all of our middle school and elementary school communities to come out to this incredible event, see the athletic offerings that we have at the high school, and see get a little glimpse of what high school experience will be like in the future. There's pizza, there's giveaways, so that might entice you to come on out and enjoy all the fun. And then lastly, just want to mention that we do have a print newsletter that will be hitting your homes in the next several weeks. This will give you a glimpse into the recent and upcoming happenings at Bloomfield Hills Schools, along with a thorough bond update for the community. So check your mailboxes. You should be getting that soon.
All right, thank you for that update.
Although I know I'm not supposed to talk, I always get super excited. I know I get excited for kindergarten day, so I'm looking forward to
It's
it.
exciting.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. McDonald, for that update. Moving on to item 7, Board President and Superintendent Search Update. Okay, so I'll start with my Superintendent Search Update. At the January 11th study session, I mentioned that MLI had appointed us a new representative. It was previously John Silveri with MLI, and we were told that we were going to have a new representative appointed, and we were waiting for the introduction. The introduction was made. Our new representative's name is Tim Stein with MLI. The subcommittee was able to meet with Tim this past Saturday and discuss the history of our search to date. The next step is to find a date for Tim to attend either a study session or board meeting to provide a comprehensive overview of where our search stands, as well as an updated candidate profile for publication and timelines surrounding same. So on that note, he was not able to attend this evening, and he's not available for our February date where we have the study session and meeting at the same night. So the subcommittee needs to speak with him and potentially discuss holding a special meeting to have him come and in an open meeting and speak about the progress of our search and all the details around it as well. So other than needing to work out some scheduling and timelines, nothing substantive to the search has occurred in the past several weeks since he's been our representative, and we will keep the community up to date as we move forward. 2 updates. One is that on this upcoming Tuesday, January 30th, trustees Falah and Noble and myself will be going through the superintendent evaluation training. And then next Friday, the 2nd, and then Saturday, the 3rd, I will be attending myself a 2-day MASB Board President Workshop. Outside of that, that is the extent of my updates. Moving on to Section 8, Consent Agenda. Section A, Consent Agenda, Carolyn Noble, Board Secretary.
All right. Well, as the new secretary, I am going to say I move the Board of Education approve the recommendation detailed in the consent agenda as follows. B, approval of minutes from regular meeting on December 21st, 2023. C, approval of minutes from the study session of January 11th, 2024. D, request to approve disbursement reports. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to read all that, but so I move the Board of Education approve the disbursement reports as presented. I move, or E, request to approve monthly financial reports. So I move the Board of Education approve the financial reports as presented. F, request to approve personnel actions. I move the Board of Education to approve the personnel actions as presented. G, I move the Board of Education approve the purchase of one 2023 Ford Transit 350 XL 10-passenger van for $59,734, and a 2018 used Ford Transit 150 XLT 8-passenger van for $37,212 to be funded by the Capital Equipment Fund and Center Program Reserve Funds. And then H, request to appoint parent representatives to Oakland County Parent Advisory Committee. So that one is, I move the Board of Education to appoint Caroline Groneveld and Kimberly Hamp as parent committee members representing Bloomfield Hills Schools on the Oakland County Parent Advisory Committee through January 2027, as required by the Intermediate School District Plan for the delivery of special education programs and services.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
A different respect for John's job.
Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to Section 9, Board Business, Section A, request to adopt Bloomfield Hills High School new courses and course changes for the 2024-2025 school year. Speaking to that is Ms. Sarah Fairman, our Director of Secondary Education.
Good evening. How's everyone today?
I'm sorry, just one second. I want to make sure I'm getting the mechanics correct here. We'll motion first, and then we'll have we'll have your dialogue. So I apologize. No, stay on up here. No problem.
I never remember when I'm supposed to come up. I apologize.
I move the Board of Education approve the addition, removal, or revision to Bloomfield Hills High School course offerings for the 2024-25 school year as presented and as pursuant to Board Policy 3001.
Any second?
Second.
All right, discussion.
I have a question. Or did you want to present something?
I wasn't going to present, so everything was in the weekly board update, but I'm happy to speak to any of those courses that were in there. And to your question before, everything, I tried to put in there what was a support course versus what was a core versus what was an elective course.
Thank you. I did notice that.
Okay.
I just had on the learning strategies 11 and 12. Mhm. So this is for all those who are watching from home. This falls under the section for courses with an updated
With new names, yep, or like new course descriptions.
course
Yes.
description,
Mhm.
right?
I'm gonna
So
get to it.
I wanted to know, how does this course differ from the integrated studies
So-
extension course? That's a new class.
Learning strategies are generally designed for students that have IEPs or 504s.
Okay.
And/or are identified within our building and instructional team, which is the BIT, like a child study team, versus the intervention or the other strategies course is a class that students can pick to be in. There's no prerequisite for them to be in there.
Okay. They're very similar descriptions. So
They're very
it's a
similar descriptions. I would agree with
New
that.
course, changing title, so I'm just trying to make sure. And
The integrated
then-
studies course is a new course, which is open to anyone in the general education population, versus the learning strategy, which was only open to students that were identified by our building studies team.
Okay. And then zoology?
Yes.
So, and this one, for those who are watching, is under,
It's under both new courses
Thank
and also
you.
removed courses. So zoology used to be a one-semester course, and students couldn't retake it. You could only take it once. But throughout the course of it, what happens in the fall on the farm is very different than what happens in the spring. So actually, it's two separate contents. By having a zoology A and a zoology B, students are able to take a full year of zoology and it identifies it as two separate courses.
so I had two questions for that.
Sure.
So, so I'm guessing that you have it so you can take one semester, or if you wanted to take 2 semesters because you didn't want to offer it for a full year.
Correct.
And now we're going to zoology A and B.
Yes.
But not necessarily changing what you're learning in the class, like zoology of blah, 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 blah.
So the only thing that really changes is the experience that you have on the farm.
Okay.
So when you want to talk about the life cycle of animals, and all the animals are born in the fall semester, it's really hard to do that spring semester. So it basically is more about the life cycle of what's happening on the farm. And so zoology A, you'll focus a little bit more on that part of the content, and then zoology B will focus on what happens more in the spring on the farm.
Just asking, so like 2 years from now, we're not saying, can we change the name of this course? Unless, of course, the instruction changes.
That also aligns with the new CTE programming, which is, in the current CTE program, zoology is one of our pre-courses to the vet science and the AFNR. With the way that the state has changed CTE, where before we were given, I'm just going to use a number, you were given 20 competencies you had to teach. You could teach them in any order you wanted. So if a student didn't take zoology and came to us later on, we could circle back that curriculum and address those areas of space. Now with CTE, they have now made it into blocks. So once a core, like they'll take 5 core competencies and put them in block A. Once block A is taught, you cannot go back and reteach what was taught in block A. So this allows us to catch those students either first semester or second semester. They'll still get those core competencies, and then they'll be ready for AFNR and vet science.
Awesome. So, go ahead. I'll let you go ahead because I've had 1,000 questions.
For the people at home, I guess.
For the people at home, yes.
So, the zoology course, it's not focused on the farm animals. That's just part of the experience.
It's at the farm. So
Okay.
yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
the course is held at the farm. So basically, their field experiences in and out of the farm. So whatever is happening on the farm. So when we do an experiment, we're doing it on the farm with the animals and with the crops that are at the farm.
So it's only related to the farm animals?
No, it's related beyond that. But it's the same thing as when you study chemistry, you can only do with what's in front of you. You can't do, you study some other things and then you go experience it on a smaller scale at the farm. Yep. It's an incredible hands-on course is my favorite part about that.
I'll wait to come back.
Okay. All right. Back to integrated studies.
Yes.
Maybe it was 2022, I feel like. It was before I was on. There was talk about something getting removed. It sounded like it was similar.
It was advisory.
Advisory,
So
okay.
advisory did not have an actual curriculum attached to it.
Right.
And also advisory was only 1 day a week.
Right.
So one of the things that we have noticed as students have gone through and they get to, especially like we're still dealing with post-COVID a bit, right? Is that when they get to the 11th and 12th grade, that they are looking for a space where they can get, if they are missing some area of content, they have a space to catch that back up. So this integrated studies course would allow us to say, this is how you do technical writing, this is how you do informational text, this is how you do fiction text, where they're coming at it in so many different areas and avenues. It's a place for them to really work with that. It's slightly different than the writing across the curriculum. So the writing across the curriculum extension is specifically designed for writing itself.
Right.
This is pretty much a way to catch up in other areas. We offer support in all of our math courses with our math extensions, so we thought let's have one more place where we could, for a student who doesn't need that much help with math but could use a little help with the integration of math and science, a space for them to have that work.
So that's my question.
Sure.
It could be any academic area. It could be math. It could be writing. It could be science. It could be anything.
Sure. So it could be a student who's just needing a little support. It could be a student who's looking for a little bit more support in science, but we don't have a science support class. They could be in this course for that additional support.
So how do they, just so I can understand in the role, in the day of a student, how do they get the help? Because if I've got a question on pre-calc, for example,
sure,
is that instructor going to be able to answer that question that I need help with in pre-calc and then go to somebody else?
But you would have a chance where, depending on, neither one of you do ID, right? Do you want to speak a little bit how ID looks? Sorry, Phil. I'm going to pick on Phil just because he's here. So I want you to, so you'll hear how ninth grade ID works, and this would be a variety of that, but also would be a chance for them to get, they can go to a Khan Academy with some, like a check-in at that spot to see if it's working out right and that type of thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, so in 9th and 10th grade, we have ID class. You got your 4 core teachers represented social studies, science, math, and English. And during that time period, the teacher might be with a group of 25 kids or so. They can help direct that student to the expert that could help solve their area that they're working on at that time. So they kind of facilitate that student getting the support that they need in whatever subject that may be.
Okay. Yeah, that was my question, is because it sounds like a good thing. I just want to make sure that with so many different diverse topics that could get covered, and then throughout an entire year, I mean, you're talking about a huge range of things. And this is an opportunity for kids where they might need a chance to get some more targeted help. Maybe they're struggling in one thing that they just need that extra time. I just want to make sure from a resource perspective that we've got a class and we've got instructional capabilities that, it's not just sit here and hopefully get your homework done and maybe get help. It is really time that student can hone in and, reduce the gap of knowledge if there's something that they're struggling with.
Yeah, I think the key is having access to, a certified teacher in each of the 4 core subject areas that can help a student. I teach world history, but a kid can come to me with any social studies class, and I'm probably going to be able to help them.
Okay.
Right.
And
That's just part of the logic puzzle of scheduling, right?
Sure.
So we would drop this class in a space, because this is for 11th and 12th grade, we would drop this class in a space where we could see someone from each of the disciplines have a planning hour.
Yeah.
Or be available to them. So that would be so we would see who we have, drop it into, let's say it's 6th hour, and know that during 6th hour, these are the teachers that are available to support the students in that class.
And
I have a similar question with that course. So I'm still a little bit struggling on how that was going to work. When you still talk about the same course, Trustee Falah, if you don't mind if I say it for
that's
a
okay.
moment. So when the students are working with their counselor and selecting their courses for next year, how would you recommend, or how are we recommending students to couple this with what, and what pairings do we see this really working better with? And are there targeted students that we're actually pushing into this particular course for
I would
a
think it would be
reason?
students that we would be targeting are students that may also benefit from a learning strats class that don't qualify for a learning strats class, for a learning strategies class. I'm using lingo, sorry, for a learning strategies class. So they don't have an IEP or a 504, but they might have demonstration of some need in some areas that are outside of math. So there are times where students are in, let's say they're in Algebra 2 and they're in Algebra 2 extension, they really don't need that much math support. They might go into an integrated studies class instead, so they get support in math and in other subject areas as well.
Yeah. So I was trying to also gauge what you were sharing with Trustee Falah about how, if you have 25 students in this course and they have varying different math needs, how many resources are we pushing into this?
So that would be why we would see who would be interested. Just because you sign up for it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get this. This would be a targeted type of situation. So if we see a student who says, I want to be the integrated studies course, but we see that they are very behind in mathematical skills, we are going to recommend that they go into the math extension first to get that targeted support in those types of areas. So it will be on the course card. Counselors will also help them to identify it, but just because you select it doesn't mean necessarily, because it depends. We want to make sure it's a class that will be successful, so we would look at a little bit more common grouping in that course than we would across the spectrum. So most of our support classes, all of our extensions are designed that way, where it's around a subject area or another area. We were looking to offer, there's the writing one, there's the math one. This is just kind of another space for students to get support if they need it. That's not a learning strategies course.
Okay.
Yes, it's going to be a bit of a logic puzzle, number one, in terms of both how counselors talk to their students. And it may not run every year. It may run just some years. So it really depends upon, we're trying to be as responsive to student needs as possible, and specifically, we see some gaps as they move into junior and senior year where they really benefit an awful lot from the ID hour. To be able to offer students who would like to continue something like ID hour, have that opportunity available to them.
And I'm not saying I have the answer to this. I'm not smart enough to figure it out. But just an observation that this feels like it's crossing over into the other topic that we had. I wasn't here for it when we talked about, some of the funding that was going to be provided for like tutoring.
Oh, the extended day tutoring.
So like,
yes.
These feel like two things that are kind of, similar needs almost, that I don't know if it's an opportunity, but I just feel like, where kids are struggling, where they need more help.
Right.
This is like kind of the same kind
This
of
is
topic.
another place where we can put it. And then Todd is over there to correct me if I'm wrong. There is does 23G allow for any in-school supports, or is it always out of school?
It can be in school as well.
Yep. So this could be a potential place for 23G funds to also go. But again, we have to have it in the course catalog before we can even do it
No,
that
it makes
way.
sense.
Yeah.
I'm just like observing.
Yeah, no,
and saying,
you're exactly
wow,
right.
this is a place where kids get help. Wow, this is a place that, you know what I mean?
We're
Like,
trying to
it
find
seems
as many
common.
ways to help students. I mean, and everyone knows this, that students sometimes out of school is better for them. Sometimes in school is better for them. You know, when we have our captive audience, is there a better time to give us support during that space?
Sure.
So this is a chance for us to put that in the catalog and see how that works. Since it's the first year doing it, it won't be a huge program, but we do have students coming out of the 9th and 10th grade ID hours who would really like something like that in their junior year specifically.
Since there could be some families that, although they could benefit from the tutoring services that we are looking into, may not have the transportation to get to and from. So if there is some way
Sure, and those are also-
tap into Trustee Falah's recommendation.
It's within, like I say,
I
sometimes
recommend.
having it within the school day is super helpful. Additionally, you know, a lot of our tutoring services are actually virtual, but that also requires reliable internet and computers at home too. I'm sorry, Todd.
I just wanted to clarify, largely, when we were talking about extended day learning previously, that is primarily around 11T funds. 11T funds cannot be used during the school day. They can only be used outside of the school days. 23G funds extends into next year and can be used within the school day. So our strategy right now is to try to deplete 11T for this year outside the school day, and then 23G, which is a different funding source, which just got awarded back in December, that will be available outside and during the school day.
Thank you for that.
Two more question. And this maybe so we've changed the name of IB World History to IB European History.
Correct.
Or IB World History 1, and then we've updated the description of IB World History 2. Should we also update the name of it?
No, and this is why. This is the challenge of IB. So when you do IB history, there are 4 paths that you can take. It's history of, basically it's like almost continental base. It's IB history of Europe, history of the Americas, history of Oceania and Asia, and history of Africa. So one part of your 1 year, you're working on one of those 4 areas, and then the second year, you're expanding what that, you know, like, so you do European your junior year, senior year, you take everything you learn in European and you apply it to world events that are currently happening. So it's kind of almost the application of what you learn through your European history or your African history or your history of the Americas, and you apply it the second year to an overall world history. It's a much broader history. It's a much more application of skills that you learn in that junior year. So we don't want to continue to call it European history, because actually you're looking now at that point of comparing Stalin to Mao to places outside of Europe.
And so it's 2 because it's year 2?
It's because it's year 2. So anytime you take an IB course, that's an HL course, that has to be a 2-year course of study.
Has there been any requests for other paths besides the European path?
We did ocean history, Asia and Oceania 2 years ago. Students' interest was much more going back to the European. IB also changed their history. Like, the reason why we moved away from it was because the content wasn't as dynamic, and then they rewrote their history, IB history, and now the content's more dynamic. And also we like the fact that that now applies to the second year, where you learn what you learn in your about people in history and events in the first year, you then apply to world events in the second year. So they changed their curriculum in the middle of all this too. So this would be the first year of the new history curriculum. I'm looking at Phil just because, you know, he can. So we need to, when we submit our documentation to IB, we need to indicate which of the paths we're taking, which is why it has to be Europe in their junior year.
Okay.
I know you said
Yeah.
I have a lot more. Sorry. Okay, so my next question is the class pre-AP geometry with statistics?
Correct.
So I did try to find the curriculum guide. Is there a course that's called AP geometry with statistics?
There is not a course called
So
AP
is there a
geometry.
reason why we
so
have
pre-AP, what is buried, what is the content and the curriculum within pre-AP is you're given AP-like experiences so that the students are better prepared for the AP assessments and AP pre-calc, calc, and stats. So the idea is to have students at that sophomore level, well, freshman, sophomore level, depending on what year they take it, be more comfortable in knowing that they could handle the AP curriculum because they've seen the type of experiences and or application of mathematics that they would see in those AP courses. It's designed to promote.
There wasn't a rationale on this one, that's why I have so many questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, yes. That is. So geometry is going to be geometry with Algebra 2 prep built into it, and then this pre-AP geometry with statistics is designed for students who think they might want to look at the AP track and give them some more experiences to boost their confidence and also their ability to do those more difficult, I would say, abstract skills that happen in those AP courses.
So it's pre because
it's not an AP course, right? But it is run by College Board. It is the College Board curriculum, so it is designed to be vertically aligned with the College Board courses.
That title is interesting.
March 1st, we get that content, and we do not have access to that curriculum until March 1st. So as soon as we get it, Michelle, we will send it your way.
And I only had one last just technical question, very technical. When I say very, it really isn't. So the Introduction to Engineering Design and the Cybersecurity course.
Correct.
They're offered opposite years.
Alternating years, yep.
And the courses, I'm guessing that they're year-long classes?
They
So
are
if you
year-long
sign-
courses.
So is one offered in an even year and one offered in an odd year? Or is it just based on when you decide to offer the course?
So whatever is being offered next year, and I can't remember what is it. We had even and odd, and then we took it off there. We just made it alternating. But basically, it'll be an even and odd year. So students can take it. They can take either one of those classes, 9th through 12th grade. So they'll have 2 opportunities to take each of those courses. Within that time, they'll only take it once, but they'll have 2
I
opportunities.
was only thinking, like, if I was planning out my schedule, I saw these courses and I got interested, even
Right.
though I'm not in high school, I'm just saying. I would want to plan out, if it's on an even year, then I know I should take this class. But I have another year because you can take it through 11th grade? Or
You can take them to the 12th grade. Yep. So you
that I
can take
have
them 9th to
time,
12th.
If I have this, if it conflicts maybe with my music schedule, like it gives me some chances to get that in. So but you took it out for a reason, and I'm going to go with that.
It's the same teacher. And so they're very popular courses, so trying to get them all in the same year. This allows us so that everyone can take both.
Okay.
Yep.
That was my last question.
But you're right, it does take just a little section of planning in your head to say, okay, like you need to look junior year, what's offered junior year, and then take the other one senior year.
Yeah. I have no more questions.
Any other questions or discussion? All right.
So thank you for putting me on that committee too. So
Oh,
I'm sure
yes.
they appreciate me.
It's a good spot for you, Michelle. All right. Are we ready to vote? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you so much. And I will update you in the fall as to what enrollment looks like in all these classes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to Section 7B, request to approve bid pack 8.3, High School Wellness Center / concessions. Speaking on this, Alan Dresselhaus of Plant Moran Real Point. Is there a motion?
I move the Board of Education to approve bid pack 8.3, High School Wellness Center and concessions, renovations, and additions as presented in the amount of $4,277,137.37, along with a 10% contingency in the amount of $427,713.74, and an additional, and an owner-directed flooring allowance of $50,000 for a total sum of $4,754,851.11 to be paid from the bond fund.
All right, discussion? We have a second? Do we have a discussion about this?
What is an owner-directed flooring allowance?
So on the second floor, the open fitness area, the design calls out for like a turfed, almost like a miniature football turfed area for like speed and agility training. And the bond team has not chosen what type of material they want that to be yet, or if it would actually be out of turf. So we have some meetings forthcoming to look at a couple of ideas and samples on that, how long it needs to be, how big it is. It is excluded from the Barton Mello bid package, and but we wanted to get it in front of the board today to make sure we captured the cost that would go into that. So that just for clarification, this is for construction only. It has nothing to do with technology or FF&E. That's going into the packages that will come to the board at a different time, a different bid package. And we're ready to go. So shovels going in the ground late May. It'll be about an 18-month project, completion November 2025, hoping to approve upon that. But this is pretty exciting stuff. 2 stories, 10,000 square feet.
And then when would it be available for student use, by the following January, or when do you get?
Our goal is to hopefully be able to let the students get in there and utilize it in the fall of 2025. So if we can approve upon that, ideally I'd like to see it happen before school started in September. But you never know once you're putting a shovel in the ground and any obstacles you might overcome. You know, it is a complex, lots of glass, 2-story CMU masonry type of building. So. And this construction will be going on during, the school year of the fall of '24 into the winter and spring of '25.
And how does this compare versus the original?
Happy
budget?
to report that it's in below what we expected the budget to come in at. And again, this is kind of phase 1 of 2. The second phase, we are looking to do something called a gateway at the front entrance, with the extra money that we have left over from the consolidating of the concessions into the renovations of the existing concessions facility. So perhaps like a couple pillars, similar to like what you would see at Brighton High School or Detroit Catholic Central, so that when you pull up into the parking lot, you're walking into the athletic facility, it looks something, it's more impressive than what we have today.
What do you attribute the factor for coming in under? Because we've had so many projects where we've come over. Is it labor? Is it materials? What do you attribute that to?
Things are improving.
Say that again?
Things are improving. The market is not, it's a little bit more stagnant than it was a couple years ago. It's still very busy. We don't have long lead times on materials. Basically, the marketplace has become more competitive. And we did a really thorough job looking at this as the team and also with the board subcommittee as to identifying what we can and cannot afford to do here. And there'd been several design reiterations on that, and we made sure we designed to what our budget expectations were.
Okay.
And also, just talking from the subcommittee, we changed the scope. So originally, it was supposed to be out by the softball field. So the scope changed, and we moved the concession stand back to where the original concession stand was. So that saved a lot of money from changing the scope of it from where it was to where it's going to be.
That's correct, Paul.
You mentioned the concession stand. Is that was my question. Is that part of, I didn't see that in here?
So the concession stand is, it's going to be currently where it is located. However, we are expanding upon that, making it bigger, improving some of the equipment in there, adding additional electrical, mechanical, and then we're actually going to put a canopy and identify it with some signage, either some channel letters or something like that across so that you're calling out where the concessions are.
So Keith mentioned it at our last meeting, and so that is included in this package.
That is included in this package.
Thank you.
A big piece coming in less than what we had thought it would be along Trustee Kolin, along his lines, is when we were going to put this out in I want to say it's like the auxiliary softball field, we would have had a long run of utility all the way out to Echo. And that is extremely expensive, stuff that we would never see and realize as far as function of the building. Where when we move now the bathrooms over towards the front entrance, it's a much, much shorter run. We have a much easier tie-in, and we're going to save money simply on connecting sewer lines.
But we're going into the hill, correct? Do we?
Yes.
A little bit into the hill?
In the front. That is not this particular bid pack, but
Right.
yes, that is phase 2 of that high school renovation for that area, would be to go into that hill right there between the front entrance and the homestands.
Right, and we're working on those designs currently, and I will come to the board with some design ideas and samples of what our team is thinking of before we actually go to the street and bid that out.
Given that some of the construction is going to happen during the school year, do you foresee any disruption to the student activities?
No, none of the athletics will be affected. We have a significant construction fencing plan and mobilization plan for the construction team to get their materials trucked onto the site and, removal of dirt and things like that. The parking pod that is directly next to the tennis courts is going to come offline. So that is going to be utilized for the construction parking, employee parking and things. But we're working with Keith and the board subcommittee to understand if any effects would come from that. So it's a small area. We have plenty of parking across the entrance there for that. So I think we'll be fine.
That's where a lot of the students park.
Yeah.
Yes.
And from a community perspective, it's not going to impact because our community uses that facility when it's not being used by our students,
Correct, sir.
for weekends. So
Yep.
it's not going to impact that as well.
No, there'll be fencing up around the parking area, and the sidewalks will be unobstructed. So you'll have clear access from the parking pod to the tennis courts or that backfield area if you're doing some sort of athletic event back there. It's exciting stuff. Next phase of the project.
So I do want to draw attention to the 10% contingency. This was a conversation we had, I think it was last spring, I don't remember if it was the summer.
Yep.
And under a previous finance director, we had talked about, I was hoping to see some numbers regarding projected contingency fees versus what amount of that contingency fee we were using.
How that contingency would be utilized? Is that?
I wanted to see a history of all of our projects to date, when
Okay.
the contingency fee was built in, where we came at close to that 10%. Did we use 1% of the contingency, 9%? So I'm coming back to that issue. Perhaps that is something that, again, I addressed it at the time, it went to the wayside, but it is a data point that I'd be interested in seeing.
Well, we did address it with the bond subcommittee, and we have utilized all of our contingency on all the project work to date. So 100% of that contingency has been spent. In fact, we went slightly
So,
over.
Meg, just to kind of report out, one of the things we talked about on our subcommittee was, because I know the PTOC requested it, is we're putting together a report in terms of spending by building, which is going to be a detailed report that's going to go out, I think, in probably not the next PTOC meeting, but be ready, because it's going to come to the board first to review. And then once the board's okay with it, then we'll report it out. And that'll have sort of, from a budget perspective, how much was spent in each building. That comes up to 200 million, so.
So it's planned for the next committee of the whole
Yep.
in late February.
In February, yep.
Right.
So I guess my question specifically is, if 10% is projected, then we are always getting exactly 10% over? I'm trying to understand why there's not an ask to come back for more, how we're always hitting exactly on, maybe I'm not understanding it.
We don't always hit exactly on the 10%. The 10% contingency is in Barton Mellow's contract with the district. So they are allowed 10%. I know there was talk about reducing that contingency, but we went back and looked, and that is in their contract. So they are allowed to put a 10% contingency on their construction
That's fine,
packages.
if that's in their contract, that's
Yep.
fair. I just want to see how often is it hitting right on the nose at 10%? That's my question.
No, and again, the report will come out, and we have talked to the board subcommittee about this.
Okay.
Some of the project bid packages have come in under, and some have come over. And there's a lot of different reasons why it would go over. It might be township-driven.
But if it goes over 10%, that's something that has to come back to the board for approval, no?
Not if it's under $100,000.
Not if it's 100, okay. So perhaps this is a subject that, the Finance and Operations Committee can dig into, because I do want to see that data point. We can talk about it on a threshold of what projects or whatever, but it is a point that I would like to clarify.
Understood.
Well, no, I understand the question, but I think what we're, and if we want to report out separately about contingency, but I know as the subcommittee, the bond subcommittee, which is going to roll into the finance committee, we talked about looking at original building spend and what the ended up building spend was. And coming up, that was originally what we're proposing to the board in February in terms of looking at it from a bond and then going out to the community. But if there's other things, to your point, there's other things that the rest of colleagues want to see, in terms of us directing Plant Moran to do, just, let me know, and I'll make sure we include that. But right now, the direction is that, just as an example, if Way, and I'm just using, Way as an example, the original bond spend was supposed to be, let's say, 27, million, what did it end up coming in at? What did we originally promise to do, and what did we end up doing with all the extras that we're going to end up doing? So that's one data point that we're looking at in terms of spend, but if there's other things that some of the colleagues want, then, just let me know.
One of the ways that could be made more clear, but I don't know the difficulty of this, is to do it by bid pack, because those numbers are broken down here, but I don't know how the number, So when we get the bid pack today, we've got one for the concrete, right? The first one is concrete. When it gets to the end, did we spend $524,000 plus $52,400 on concrete? And so I imagine that could be figured out, but that's different than by bill,
Yeah, no,
So-
listen, I'm happy again, right? I mean, with the subcommittee, that was one thing we talked about that would resonate at least with the community, like looking at by building. But if there's other things that we want to report out, just let me know, and we'll work as a subcommittee with
What's the
plan.
timeframe around this?
The by building was going to come to the next board meeting in February. We would review it, make sure we're all comfortable with it before we started reporting out to, let's say, the PTOC in March, and and sending it, and posting it on the website.
Okay.
Yeah, we have not closed out all our contracts with our subcontractors yet on the project work from last 2 years. So we meet with Bart Mello every 2 weeks on this. They're progressively moving forward on that. The pay apps all come through, but I would say maybe 10% have been paid out at 100% right now. So this kind of gives you an idea that there's still, and it's a negotiation, right? The trades ask for additional money. We agree to some things, we don't agree to others, and so it goes back and forth. It takes a long time to close these things out, but we're in the process of doing that.
I would like to see it what we originally first started with, which obviously has changed. This was, the bond was proposed way back when. The numbers were what they were. What we finally decided we were going to do, and then I would like to see it by bid pack, like what was spent, what could we have spent through a contingency, and to President Hill's point, it does feel weird when we're spending 100% contingency. Now, to what you said, if we're going above and that's not coming back for approval because there's a threshold, that's fine. But it does seem, but like that should also be available for us to see, to know that we went above, we didn't have to come back for approval, and we're still technically under budget or at budget, but it feels weird to be at budget at 100% contingency every single step of the way.
I mean, no, it's fair. I mean, if anyone not on the subcommittee wants details, just, send me an email, and I'm happy to share, so obviously, we have two of our colleagues not on the subcommittee that are interested in seeing by bid pack.
Yep.
If bid pack A was $1 million plus 100,000, did we spend $1,100,000? How much did we spend on that bid pack? And how does that tie in? Because they all should tie into the same number, ultimately, right?
Yeah.
I I feel like you either go, it's strange if we end up 100% every single time. It would feel more comfortable if we like, oh, we came in, we only used 10%, or we had a disaster strike, we used 150% contingency because there was some kind of problem. We opened something up and we saw asbestos and like, it was way more than we anticipated. Great. But to get that number every single time, it is, I'm not suggesting anything, but it just feels like if the number we're approving should be larger. Yeah, I mean, if the number shouldn't be X, it should be X plus whatever this contingency, like, let's just
Well, listen,
know that.
as you said, in the Barton Mello contract, it's 10%.
That's correct.
I would have disagreed with that, but I didn't negotiate that contract. I think industry standard is more 5 to 6%. You can shake your head at me and disagree all you want, but I know what industry standards are with this, and I disagree with the 10%. Regardless, it's 10%. And I would like to see data around it so that we can give community assurance that what's going on is proper.
Understood. And we'll work with the board subcommittee to
Right.
put something together, and again,
Two things. One, the building, and then also what I'm hearing is, and you could prepare it, before our meeting next week, every Thursday. Well, we'll have to decide with the new committee, what works in terms of timing. But yeah, if you could prepare, go back to Barton Mallow and each bid pack with their contingency, what they got, like as an example, this one is 4.7 million. We're not going to know what the spend was, but we do know and should know, or they should have between you and Barton Mallow, the details on all the bid packs, what it was plus the 10% and what the spend was. So to my colleague's point, did they go over, under on each of those? They should have those details, and I know you guys should be managing it.
yeah, we have it, so.
What? Yeah.
I mean, we have it. I mean, I'm here today to talk about a specific bid pack, not get into the financials.
Understood, and this is, but I'm just saying, right?
Yep.
Just, you can go back and start preparing that because
Sure.
two of my colleagues not on the committee want to
Yep.
see it, and we have the right to see all the
Absolutely.
information that we have.
I want to direct my concern over just a unknowable allocation of $50,000 for either turf or grass, because in my opinion, I don't think turf is a healthy use of our dollars in this school district. There's inconclusive evidence that turf is negative on our health. It's made out of tires, used tires, in fact, and most of it is not recyclable or is recycled. Even if companies claim they recycle it, they don't usually recycle. And so, in my opinion, I would turn down that if it was going towards turf. So I would like it to be a separate line item for a future board meeting.
To decide what type of material we put down on that little strip.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. How big is it? Is it a large strip? Is it?
I believe it was like 65 by.
This is
18.
indoors, right?
Yeah, this is indoors.
You can't put
Oh,
grass
indoors?
Yeah, this is indoors.
It's
yeah.
not, it's indoor turf. It's not like what you put out on the football field. I mean, we just put $2 million of turf down on your baseball softball field, so.
Well, those kids will see how their health turns out in the end.
But to that point, right, we can't put grass in there. We
No.
just need it. Okay.
No, it could be some sort of a carpet rug or a rubberized mat. We just haven't determined what that material would be made of or what the look of it is we're going to achieve yet there. So we're still working with a French architect to determine what's best suitable for there.
This is for indoor practice?
No.
What's the turf inside?
The turf is inside the wellness center. It's,
I know it's inside the wellness center, but what we're using it for?
If you flip to
It'd be
page
for, like, speed
3,
training,
there's a rendering
plyometrics.
of, you can see a little section of the purple turf, page 3 in the rendering.
Not high-impact sports.
I remember it's for,
Not high-impact sports.
it's for
No, there's
training?
no sports that would, I mean,
Yeah,
no competition.
speed and agility.
This is speed and agility
for
training.
training? Okay.
This is for training purposes.
Okay,
I was like, what are we doing with the turf?
and
Okay.
for the subcommittee,
I know
I
it's
just
in
want to
the
say
wellness
for the
center.
subcommittee that's been working so hard on this, I know this has been like a part-time job for you all and all the work you put into this, so I want to thank you for all you've done to help us get some of these answers.
No, but to
So
that,
is there another alternative to, I just want to make sure we're hearing Trustee Noble, is there an alternative to indoor options for speed and agility, or is that something that's industry standard?
They generally utilize turf because it's softer on the joints than it would be to have a hard rubber floor. So that's why they prefer to train on that. Plus, it's the same type of surface that they would be utilizing in soccer, lacrosse, or football.
And this is in most areas, like for instance, if I were to go to training camp. that
Yeah,
do
if you were to
the-
go to like St. Joe's Physical Therapy, they have segments of their physical therapy area would have a turf like this so that the athletes can recover and start to get back into actual competition shape.
Yeah, I know, because my wife's a physical therapist, so in those looking, that's what they use, because it's less on the joints. So, but to the point, and I know the new committee is going to be me, Siva, and Michelle, so if anyone else has any other questions regarding bond and finances that you want us to tackle besides this issue regarding the bid packs and contingencies, just send me an email, so I'll make sure I'll forward it to the appropriate people.
Yeah, remind me, I've got an extensive spreadsheet that I built a year ago or so. And
You can send that spreadsheet along.
Send it along to the committee.
I think that was for the sinking fund.
Any other discussion? All right. The motion was made on this,
And
right?
a second.
In a second. Do we have a vote?
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Are we ready to vote, I should have said?
Yes.
Trustees VanGemert and
Yes.
Southward, are we ready to vote?
In support.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't say aye, I'm not opposed. It passes 0.
Thanks, Al.
We were just discussing how much trustee VanGemert's going to miss the committee, so.
He's,
All right, moving on to Section C, request to approve agents of record for 2024. Mr. McDonald, Interim Superintendent.
As part of the organizational meeting every year, we bring our agents record to you. We have no recommended changes this year, and you have that as part of your packet.
I move the Board of Education to appoint the legal counsel for Bloomfield Hills Schools through December 31st, 2024, as presented.
Second.
We ready to,
I
any
have a question, yeah.
discussion?
Yeah. We have listed in category of board matters, excuse me, we have the current ones and they're recommended the same. What's the difference between board matters and that group there? And then inside of the category, is it payroll benefits? And then specific to payroll benefits, there's special counsel? Or is special counsel of the board separate within its own? Like, there's page 1 has board matters, and then page 2, that top category has special counsel to the Board of Education. How are those two groups
Special counsel to the Board of Education was an attorney that was utilized by a past board 6 years ago. I think it was around then, and it has not come off. We have not pulled them off in case there was ever a need for the board to have attorney outside of our normal attorneys that we use on a day-to-day basis. And then payroll and benefits is a very specialized area that does not necessarily fall under labor or.
Yeah, that one made sense. I just was curious about that special counsel and why.
do we need it?
Yeah.
To your point?
I don't know. I'm
No,
not
I mean,
suggesting
the
anything.
answer is probably no, but it doesn't hurt to have them. It doesn't mean we're using them. It means that we could use them. I mean, there were special circumstances years ago that we needed to hire this or put them on the list. So, I mean, I'm not opposed. I was around 6 years ago to taking them off the list, but I don't see it any harm leaving them on the
Yeah,
list.
no, I was just curious what it was for.
Yep.
It didn't.
It was a special issue that we needed to engage a specific law firm that had a specific expertise. That's the history behind it.
Okay. Fair enough. I'm good otherwise.
Any other discussion?
If anyone cares.
We ready to vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Moving on to D, final reading and adoption of board policy updates.
I move the Board of Education to approve the changes to the board policy recommended by legal counsel as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to say that I appreciate not just the way in which it was formatted, the highlights, the listening to our voices so we can understand the changes. So thank you all for working through that. So,
Are you talking to me?
yes. specifically to Chair.
I wasn't the chair. No, no. I think Carolyn's the chair of that.
Carol's giving you a hard time.
Is that, actually, just on that note, is that committee is that just a ad hoc committee, or is that being rolled?
The policy committee?
The policy committee, is that being
I think
rolled
it's
into
in the
one of the?
strategic plan.
Part of the strategic plan? Okay.
Which is chaired by trustee Noel.
Yes, okay, got it.
So any concerns you have, please let me know.
No concern.
Okay.
Yes. So thank you for the hard work in presenting. This has come a long way, and we've had tons of readings with purple and other colors that just did not work for us. So
This was clean.
We've made.
Well, honestly,
Yes.
we should thank interim superintendent and also Miller Johnson. Honestly, they
Thank
did
you
all
for
the work.
listening.
And Rebecca. Yes. So thank you,
Thanks,
both of
Rebecca.
you.
Always we thank
Always
Rebecca.
Rebecca.
All right, any
Always thank
further
Rebecca.
discussion on section D?
No.
All right, are we ready to vote? All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion passes 7-0. And if no one has anything else, we move on to section 10, adjournment. Thank you.
You should say those words, it's over.